House of the Dragon is about to get kind of crazy. The eighth episode last week saw the death of King Viserys the First, and in his dying moments, he was rambling about Aegon the Conqueror's dream of the Song of Ice and Fire, the prophecy that he had told Rhaenyra about. And in his delirium, he thought he was speaking with his daughter, but was actually speaking with Queen Alicent. It's unclear if he really was aware he was speaking to anyone, honestly, but she took this to mean that in his dying moments, in his last wish, was to have their son, Aegon, the younger, crowned king instead of his daughter, Rhaenyra. Now, there's a bit of wishful thinking in this. She knew he was delirious, for one thing, but she also knows that he clearly doted upon Rhaenyra and sort of ignored his other children. He had four other children with Alicent: Aegon, Aemond, Helena, and the youngest son, Darren, who we have not seen hide nor hair of this season, but is still in the show, apparently, just not in season 1. So, she goes to the small council when she finds out he dies, and she tells them what's up. And to her great surprise, Tywin Lannister is like, well, this makes our plans a lot easier. We can carry out our secret scheming with the blessing of the king now. And Otto's like, yeah, totally. So here's what we do. And they start talking about how they're going to replace certain commanders of the Kingsguard and sort of what they're going to do to get Aegon on the throne. Which is a surprise to Alicent. She had no idea that this was already in the works, and she seems a little upset about it because she wasn't involved. And also because she was, up until this moment, actually thinking that Rhaenyra would be queen. This also shocks and dismays Lord Beesby. Yeah, Beesby? Oh, I can't think of his name right now. The old man who's been, on this small council since the days of King Jaehaerys, all throughout Viserys' reign, and now still to this day. And he said, he gets upset and he says, what are you doing? Like, how are you, this is treason. This is theft. He makes an impassioned speech. And, this guy's been kind of a doddering, rambling, not fool, but, he's been a little senile for quite some time now. He's in his elder years, but he gets very impassioned about how this is wrong. And it's an awesome moment. It's a heroic and brave stand against what is clearly a coup d'etat. And Sir Criston Cole positions himself behind him, grabs him by the shoulders, and yells at him to sit down, slamming him to the table and killing him. In the book, there's different stories about how Criston Cole kills him. One is that he throws him out the window. One's that he slashes his throat. This is a different version. What I love about this adaptation is that since there are conflicting versions, usually anywhere between 2, 3, or 4 different conflicting versions on a lot of the things that happen behind the scenes in the history of the Dance of Dragons, the show can pick and choose between these different stories, or it can make it up a different one. And it does that in such an effective way, because these changes to any changes to the story, for the most part, other than some of the age changes, can be sort of explained this way, right? There are other changes, and maybe I'll make a video about the changes between the book and the show at a different time. But overall, I think the show's doing an extraordinarily excellent professional job at making these changes or decisions or creative choices in a way that's extremely faithful and enhances the overall story of House of the Dragon and the Dance of Dragons. So anyways, Lord Westerling, the commander of the Kingsguard, turns in his cloak. He's not going to be a part of this either. And he leaves, and the rest of the schemers go on to plan what they're going to do, which first includes finding Prince Aegon and bringing him back, which Otto sends 2 of the Kingsguard out to find the twins, Sir Eric and Sir Arik. Are they both Sir Eric? I don't know how to actually pronounce it. It's Eric, E-R-R-Y-K, and A-R-R-Y-K. So Eric and Arik, we'll call them. They go out, and as they look for Aegon, have conflicting ideas on whether he should become king or not. One of the brothers thinks he's a terrible human being and should never be put on the Iron Throne, and the other one seems to remain loyal. And this will play out as we go forward. Also sent out by the Queen is Sir Criston Cole along with Aemond. And now everyone goes out in disguise, or at least out of their armor and whatnot. And so these two different pairs of people, one searching for Otto, one searching for Alicent, all trying to find Aegon so that they can get him to the coronation. And we see a little bit of Flea Bottom, some child fighting rings. Ultimately, Mysaria, the white worm, finds Eric and Arik and gets Otto to pay her to reveal the location of Aegon, who's hiding and looks hungover and a total mess. They find him. They start taking him to Otto outside the city and are waylaid by Criston Cole and Aemond, and there's a fight, and Aemond tackles his brother, and his brother is like, I don't want to be king. I'm not suited for king. Like, just let me go. You'll never see me again, which is an interesting little twist. Although in the book, he doesn't, reports say that he tells them that he's not supposed to be king. It should go to his sister Rhaenyra. And all throughout, prior to the coronation, including when he's talking to his mother later, he's just kind of like, yeah, right, Mom. There's no way that the king said I should be crowned. He didn't even like me. He loved Rhaenyra. So he's a very interesting, reluctant usurper at this point, right? Though by the end of the episode, when he's holding his sword and standing in front of thousands of King's Landingers in the dragon pit, he gets a look of sort of intensity and like, holy crap, maybe I will like being king on his face. And he, has Blackfire, the sword Blackfire in his hand, and he waves it in front of the cheering crowd. It's quite a scene, actually. Other interesting things that happen. This is the first episode of out of 9 so far where we don't see any of Rhaenyra or Daemon or any of that of Team Black at all. Rhaenyra being the main character of the show, not in this at all. This is all focused on the High Towers and the Greens. And we do have, however, Princess Rhaenys, who's initially held captive in her own cell before being freed by, it's Eric or Arik. I can't remember which is which right now. The loyal to Rhaenyra twin Kingsguard men. He frees her, and she finds herself caught up in the crowd being pushed to the dragon pit for Aegon's coronation. Now, this ends up being extremely lucky for her because her dragon, Malaise, I can't, it's an M word. Her dragon is in the dragon pit, and she hasn't been able to get to the dragon because she's been a prisoner. And, earlier Alicent tried to woo her support, but she clearly was not that interested. I mean, all of her people are aligned with Rhaenyra and Daemon, and her grandchildren are Daemon's children. So she sneaks into the dragon pit while this coronation is taking place. And at the very end, at that triumphant moment, as Aegon is holding his sword up, the crowd is cheering, she breaks through the floor with her dragon, and the crowd goes scattering, and she goes right up to the platform where Aegon and Alicent and Otto and Criston Cole and all these people, all these conspirators are. And the dragon roars at them, and then she flies away. Now, it's kind of a bittersweet moment, because if she had just burned them all to death, she could have stopped so much pain and suffering to come. The war would have been ended in a one fell swoop, but she would have had to, in the process, kill some family members, and assassinate a king, essentially, even if he is a pretender to the throne. So it's a pretty cool scene, though. A very exciting scene. A very exciting episode overall, because we start to see, I like seeing the whole, the coup take place. It's very rapid. They already have the wheels in motion by the time the king dies. And then the one stumbling block is actually finding Aegon to put him on the throne and get him on the throne. They don't announce the king's death right away because they don't want word to get out to Rhaenyra. And when Lord Caswell tries to escape to bring her word, they catch him and hang him. They arrest other lords that won't bend the knee. But many, many, many lords that are there at the Red Keep do bend the knee, even though they've sworn an oath to Rhaenyra. Although some haven't sworn that oath, maybe their fathers swore the oath. So finally we get the dastardly Lord Strong, the Clubfoot, and he is sort of the spy master at this point, right? And he seems to be playing. We have a little bit of a rivalry between Alicent and Otto, and he appears to be playing both sides. But the way he gets Alicent, the way he gets, or that Alicent is able to get him to work for her, is actually super disturbing. He apparently, maybe it's partly to do with his club foot, but he has a thing for her feet, a foot fetish, and as she's gleaning information from him, she's putting her stockinged feet up on the coffee table, and then she's taking the stockings off, and by the end of it, she's turning away from him and showing her feet for him, and he's pleasuring himself just across from her, and it's super creepy. But apparently what he's going to do for her is kill the White Worm, and we later see the building she's in burning, because he's discovered that Alicent's lady-in-waiting is a spy for her, and that there's a whole network of spies that Otto is also utilizing. So that's creepy. That's sort of he just gets worse and worse every episode. But here we have, we've got the stage set for all-out war, because of course Rhaenys is leaving on her dragon, and she's going to go tell Rhaenyra, and then Team Black and Team Green are going to have a problem. A whole lot of shit is about to hit the fan. I have a feeling that the final episode, that the season finale, is going to be crazy and leave us with jaws dropped and like itching for season 2. This was not as an emotionally powerful, resonant episode as the last one. Paddy Considine and his swan song, his final, he had so many good scenes and just such a tremendous performance in episode 8. Nothing like that in episode 9. This is much more of a, I don't want to say action, but this is an episode in motion. That was sort of like the last calm before the storm. The last moment of Viserys holding on to the realm's peace, holding it in his aching, shaking, dry, withered old hands. He's the only bulwark between civil war, between these factions of his family just falling on each other. And as we see tonight, this was going to happen with whether Alicent wanted it to or not. Otto and his cronies, pretty much almost the entire small council, was working on setting up Aegon to be king and ousting Rhaenyra. And now the question is how they're going to approach this. Otto's talking about having Rhaenyra killed, and Alicent's like, I don't think that the king would appreciate his daughter being murdered by us. And but then we have well, I won't spoil anything, and I don't know how it's going to go. Even though I've read the book, I don't know how it's all going to play out, because they have made changes. They're making changes. So fantastic stuff, though. It's great to be back in the world of Game of Thrones, and this is just such a different version of it. It's so much less. There's less magic and more intrigue, even more intrigue. Like it's almost like the moment in Game of Thrones when Robert Baratheon is killed and Ned Stark fails to take swift action and then is arrested by Cersei and Joffrey. That whole little part right there is what's like happening now, it's what's been taking place in sort of long extended fashion in House of the Dragon. It's this court intrigue, this palace intrigue, and now all the pieces are set in motion, and then civil war, dragon battles, all the great gory, horrible, tragic action that is coming, and we have 4 seasons. So there's been a lot of buildup, and now I think there's going to be a lot of really interesting conflict and clashing of arms and battles in the sky and at sea and at land. I'm very excited. So thanks for watching. Like and subscribing. We passed 10,000 followers on this, or subscribers on this channel, and the next stop is 20,000, then 100,000, and 1 million. We'll see. Thanks for watching. Peace.